morning. Today's PD is just an overview of second step. In general, we're targeting week 27 and riding a bus, but we're also trying to give you some tools that you can offer parents to empower them, because right now they're the main educators for social skills in the home. So some of the topics we'll be going over, starting with thinking about when we were still in the school setting, what did second step look like in your classroom, how we can move second step to a whole day activity instead of just targeting that 10-minute lesson that we present, and then finally how we can assist families in teaching those skills at home right now outside of the home links that we provide. So again, we're just going to bridge from the school to the home right now since we're in NTI. So thinking about what materials we use in the classroom to teach second step, and how we can help parents utilize resources that they have in their home and mimic some of those skills and strategies that we use in the classroom. So just thinking about second step in general, there's some guiding questions here, but I know this is virtual, so it's hard for me to get feedback. So if you just want to think about these questions, and you can type comments and we can share out at the end. But overall, just thinking about second step, what it looks like in your classroom, what role your entire staff plays in it, how does it become recognizable that your students are aware of it? You know, are they using dialogue throughout the school day? Are they starting to manage their own problems? Just based on what you see and hear them doing. So the main thing is we wanted to offer you ways to take second step outside of that 10-minute lesson that you teach, to start thinking about ways that you can integrate it throughout the daily schedule. And you probably are already doing a lot of these. This is just some more intentional thinking of how you can incorporate it. So one area would be meal times. So you can have students do conversation starters when they're in the cafeteria. If you just took popsicle sticks, and this is easy to replicate at home for parents, you know, just if they just have little pieces of paper that they write out deals on and put them in a bowl. But if you have conversation starters to where they could have discussions during meal times about feelings in general, food is one way that you can show kids that, you know, one thing can make us have different feelings. You know, if you like broccoli, it doesn't mean that your friend necessarily does. We can talk about trying new things when it comes to food. There's also opportunities in the cafeteria or mealtime settings to use skills that come from second step lessons about being assertive and speaking up for what you want and need. So I know, you know, sometimes thinking about being in the classroom, there'd be a child that would get to the lunch table and realize they didn't get silverware put on their plate, or they needed to go back to get some kind of condiment. So a lot of times I would notice that they would go into the lunch line, but maybe they would just be quiet once they got there, and they would feel either shy or unassertive about expressing what they need. So those are just more opportunities throughout the day when you can have children practice using eye contact and strong voices to ask for what they want and need outside of just practicing sharing skills. It's important to be able to communicate in general with adults and peers. The next area would just be when you're doing small group activities. So one of the big components of second step is self-talk and walking yourself through what you're getting ready to do to maintain your own focus. So we use that when we're sending kids to go line up or we're giving them transitional directions, but it can also be practiced across the curriculum. So if you're working on math skills and you want children to sort out by shape from a large collection of different colored and size shapes. So if you're going to want them to look for big blue shapes, then you can use them to use that self-talk strategy, you know, and when you're introducing the skill, they're probably verbally going to need to do it so you're aware if they're using it. So as they slide a shape over, you know, this is a big blue square, and then fading it out to where they're using that cue in their head. So that can be done for counting, for reading, you know, if you're doing things around the room where you're looking for letters, you know, and reminding kids to put in their head, what is it you're looking for? You know, it's letter A, just so they have visuals, but also they're cognizant of their mind. And the last area is on the playground. So a lot of times this would be an area where some kids don't necessarily want to transition back into the classroom. So there'll be a video on the next few slides, where we show an example of how you can practice managing feelings through gross motor games. And there's some kids that really, for worse or for better, aren't able to fully participate in the classroom second step lesson if their attending isn't as long as the lesson goes, or it might make them uncomfortable to talk about their feelings. Perhaps the playground is an area where they feel safer in practicing those skills, and maybe they're not aware that it's quite so academic. So they give themselves permission to participate in those activities more than they would in the classroom. So, you can do games where you draw things on the sidewalk, like we're going to show you in a minute. You can just have those conversations and practice those skills outside. And then we have, when you're just thinking of second step in general, you can set goals. So this might be a goal you want for yourself when you get back into the classroom, such as just committing to using the second step visuals more. If you don't, if you have the posters on the wall, but you don't necessarily reference them throughout the day, then you might want to set that goal for yourself. If you're teaching the lessons every day and utilizing posters, but maybe you slack off on the songs sometimes, there are a lot of songs and we have to play them a lot so the kids can learn the words, then maybe you want to commit to the music component more. And it could also be a goal that you want to set for empowering your families during second steps. So one area that you want to really give them guidance on, whether it be using songs at home or practicing things like self-talk, or, giving their child access to calm down spaces or strategies. And so again, some of this is targeted towards more of a face-to-face PD. So I'll skip over some of these questions. And at the end, if you want to share out what worked for you for second step and even what has worked virtually in teaching second step, you can go ahead and put that in the comments. So we just went ahead and put a visual in here of the basic calm down poster. You can encourage your families to use things that match the resources we have in the classroom so kids can make concrete connections. So I know a lot of teachers are dropping in resources from second step or conscious discipline into their Google Classroom so that children have familiar images. If you've joined Lesson Picks, they have visuals on there that are free to share with parents as far as you're familiar, like smell the flower and blow out the candle visuals. And then just the basic listening rules. They offer visuals on that too that parents could share. So this is just the basic links that we send home week to week for second step. So again, in teaching the program with fidelity and really wanting to empower parents, then just being mindful that, if you plan on sending it home on Mondays, or if you send it home at the end of the week so that parents can review what you've already learned, whatever you set up for your expectation, just committing to sending that home to parents and then starting to think of ways how you can expand upon it, especially for some of your higher functioning kids that kind of already have a basic grasp. We could offer them extension activities. So this just keys in on what the lesson is for parents. So managing your emotions first, you say stop, and then naming your feeling. And so you can do check-ins right now in the Google Classroom, just asking parents how children are doing with these specific skills and activities. And that way you can gain some assessment data. And maybe it's just that you do check-ins once you're back in the classroom during the week, just to ask children, if they're practicing these skills at home, if they're incorporating them with their siblings or their parents, just ways to kind of verify that your parents are aware of the curriculum and feel comfortable in using it. And then this is just a picture of the bottom portion of the link where they offer the story time picture and discussion card. So this is a video, sorry, I meant to have this up beforehand and I didn't, of how you can use second step during gross motor activities. So it's an example of answering questions as far as how you feel about a given scenario by jumping on the corresponding facial expression. So it'll open just a second. I apologize.
All right, we're going to play the feelings game. You ready, Dwayne? What do you do in this game? You hop on the picture where it makes you feel, right? Yeah. All right, Dwayne, how do you feel when your dad says it's time for bedtime? How does that make you feel? Show me. It makes you feel what? All right, you're happy at bedtime. All right, Gavin, you playing? All right, Gavin. How do you feel when you've been playing Fortnite and your mom says, Gavin, it's time to get off and brush your teeth? jump to Happy. Good job. So that again just shows you how you can incorporate those gross motor skills with the social emotional learning. And I don't know what happened with.
Yeah, I think we lost her. Probably her computer was trying to do too much, and sometimes when that happens, it just crashes. So yeah. So now
I just had mine up, but I closed it out, so I can bring my presentation.
Yeah, go for it.
If needed. All right.
She'll probably rejoin us at some point. But yeah, in the interim, go for it.
No problem. Of course, I just closed it out too. I thought, I don't need this up. So again, that was just some information how you can incorporate those gross motor skills. You could encourage the families to have their kids draw faces with chalk on the ground and then jump to different scenarios about how they can make them feel. So here are some further extension activities that you could share with families. You could put them right into your classroom if you wanted to. It's a chart for feelings. I won't go through them all right now. I'm not going to open them because I'm afraid it might knock me off too if my computer starts doing too much. But you can see there's a feelings chart. There are brain breaks, and you use those and utilize them all the time in your classroom. It's just pushing them along to families, posting them in your Google Classroom so that they're there, sharing them so that parents know they can utilize them. And a lot of times I think the teachers, you don't even realize that you are extending second steps throughout the day in these ways. You do them all the times in your classroom. Of course, assigning families specific jobs and roles helps set that routine, which could help the kids feel better, secure with their day. Again, unless you are reading the books and taping yourself and putting those in your Google Classroom, a lot of times the parents aren't going to have access to the materials that they need for these specific skills. So right here, we've got I'm Your Bus by Marilyn Singer. It's everything that's in your Second Steps kit. We've linked it right here. So if you wanted to use those materials in your classroom. And Pete the Cat, Wheels on the Bus, because again, we know that riding the school bus is the week that we're in, and students some of them need more support with that. I think I flipped. Sorry, everybody. I don't know why I flipped it. Okay. So here's some other book lists that are recommended through Second Steps and some more information if anyone would like to look further into it. And then, of course, we have our thank yous.